Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a very large storm system. Probably the last one that we will have for this kind of spring season. That will be this classic massive beast that we usually see in during the winter time, spring and fall, and we'll be more transferring at this point into a pattern that is conducive more of these smaller systems, more severe weather, thunderstorm activities, not these just well organized beasts, but this one will be a beast and will have blizzard conditions on its snowy side, a lot of snow, just full on blizzard weather, if you will, for a good portion of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Montana, and a lot of a lot of rain and stormy, severe weather on its rainy side. So without without further ado, let's start talking about this, and let me start going over piece by piece what to expect with this beast of a system that is right now kind of moving into California. Before I get into this, I do want to say that if you are new to this channel, hello and welcome. I talk about the weather, so if you like that type of stuff, obviously consider checking out the channel, consider checking out my other videos, and if you have any comments, leave them down below in the comments section. Okay, let's start talking about this. So notice that this thing, as of right now when I'm recording this, is 7 p.m. or actually 8 p.m. so 9 p.m. Eastern. We do have that system moving into the west. We also have a surging moisture from the south. We've had very strong winds across the plains that has brought a lot of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. We will see precip developing into North Dakota, the right areas that will see that blizzard. You will start off as rain and freezing rain as early as tonight midnight. So again, this thing, while it's still a good portion of it's still moving inland, it's already going to be affecting these areas with quite a bit of rain and snow as early as in just a few hours. Notice this activity will be leaving a lot of snow and rain for California, Nevada, Utah. This will obviously be beneficial for the drought. Nothing, to make up for the really lackluster season. It started off good, and then January, February, and March were all just horrible months. It was, I think, the driest stretch on record for certain cities like San Francisco and whatnot. So really didn't help out. But at least it wasn't the worst possible year, but in the midst of a record-breaking drought, it definitely didn't really help much. And if the summer is hot, which it probably will be, then it won't help out a lot. And hopefully we could get an El Nino next year for these drought conditions to be alleviated. Okay, so notice a lot of this precip, is ongoing. We'll be having very heavy rain across northern Illinois, Wisconsin tomorrow. I will be talking about that briefly. And that's kind of with the warm front. Notice that's very strong winds, right? So a lot of these locations will be reaching into the 70s on Saturday, into the 80s as well, maybe even 90s across the south. And notice, while this is all occurring, right, we see this extreme moisture transport and a lot of sorry about that, a lot of energy from this system being funneled to the north. Now, this initially, this basically results in an explosion of precipitation in the cold front. Notice it takes a little bit to kind of fully develop, but it definitely has some severe threat with it right there. And notice that into North Dakota, we start off again as rain, right? So that heavy rain moving in early Saturday, late Friday, but we have a lot of heavy snow into Wyoming, Montana, very strong winds. This thing kind of slows down, so a lot of snow falls over a short amount of time. Easily over a foot of snow is possible in some of these locations. And do note that on the warm sector of this storm, there will be some thunderstorm activities, though really as this cold front kind of marches towards the east, it's not as impressive for severe weather. Maybe across the south, Oklahoma, Texas, where there are better ingredients. Further up north, it doesn't look like a massive severe weather threat. And do note that there is a bit of cool air that spills in behind us, keeping that pattern that we've been seeing this whole April. In my area, last year, compared to last year, spring is 3 to 4 weeks later. So this cool weather has definitely kept a cap on that. I know in other parts of the country it's been just downright warm, but especially the Northeast and Midwest, it's been rather chilly, which you can argue isn't a bad thing. Notice that as I push this forward, right, we do have additional systems that are of decent size, but notice they're not as organized. These are just going to have more probably isolated severe weather threats. A little bit of snow, yes, May still can have a snowstorm easily across the northern plains and whatnot, but notice just overall a warming pattern and shifting more into a pattern that is conducive towards just just summer kind of thunderstorm type stuff, if you will. Nothing, no big beast as of now, at least it seems. I want to show you this now in terms of the temperature. So, right, the temperature anomalies, because I was talking about the warm side, cold side. These will have pretty stark differences. Notice the cold will be cold. You can see that the center of that storm right there, and that warm sector will be very warm. Saturday will be ridiculously warm for a good portion of the country. 70s, 80s, not out of the question. Notice where it is cold, it's rather cold, and that moves in for a lot of these areas that are experiencing that warmth on Monday or on Sunday. And Saturday, it moves in on Monday night. You can see a lot of areas that were in the 80s are seeing no frosts. So that's kind of the, if you will, the Midwest for you. And notice that, temperatures do rebound quickly, as it's really hard for winter to keep its cold temperatures, as the sun is just warming up most of the areas for a lot longer period than it would several months ago. So it's a lot harder to bring down very cold weather. But yet, winter still does that. And you can see we have very, very chilly weather and very warm weather right there, and those temperature differences often make those storms kind of arise. So we'll have to see, but obviously a warming pattern, not only because of spring's arrival, but I think this cool weather pattern will be also not as aggressive, though this latest GFS model run really shows otherwise. Look at those cold temperatures hanging around, very, very cold, and I honestly don't even like it that it's this cold. Should have been this cold in the winter, not when it's time for spring. Regardless, let me show you the total accumulated precipitation from the GFS model, and I do want to show you again this system. So let's just go all the way up till next week, Monday. Again, this is kind of that rainy side. You can see decent bouts of precip, and also a lot of precip towards the north. These areas really almost got busted out of their drought conditions because of obviously that massive blizzard we saw. I didn't talk about it that much, but I didn't really make any videos on it. But it was, it was a massive system. I think 36 inches was the highest report of snow in Minot, Minnesota, or North Dakota. And with this scenario, the GFS shows, again, up to, it shows over 2 feet. I don't think it will be that aggressive, though you can see some other models are also painting amounts that are pretty high, so I wouldn't say that's out of the question. You can see the Canadian is slightly towards the north and west, right? So last time it was central North Dakota that got hammered. These areas kind of got missed. Well, this time they're getting hit pretty hard. The European model, yes, we can't really look at it with the European on Tropical Tidbits, but I have a different website, and notice this one goes into great detail about these storms, and I want to show you that tomorrow, so this is, tomorrow, like very short term, we will see this, or actually even into tonight, this strong band of storms. They won't really be severe. They do obviously have thunder potential, but they will just be torrential in terms of the rain, and you can see it's very heavy, very strong, and they kind of glide up towards Chicago, Detroit, and eventually to Canada. And then they get incorporated into the larger part of the warm front, which you can see will be bringing thunderstorms all the way into Minnesota and the UP. This is late Friday. Notice that cold front right there. Initially, when it comes off the mountains, this low pressure is explosive. Some severe weather is definitely possible. And notice that we do have rain, right? At the beginning, where those areas will see the heavy snow, but then it transitions over to explosive rates of very heavy snow, very wet snow. And notice that cold front does drag through. And again, pretty weak, but across some areas in the south, there could be some bouts of, I guess, some stronger severe weather. And notice that thing kind of gets stretched out across southern Canada, affecting Winnipeg and other areas across Manitoba, Saskatchewan, though mainly Manitoba and Ontario. And then notice that this thing does kind of skedaddle out of here, but do note that it does, again, kind of swoop in some of this cool air behind it, which will lead to a cooler midweek next week for the Midwest and Northeast. But notice it's very warm out west, and we do have a little system that sneaks through here during that time, so we'll have to watch for that. And in the long range, the European does show a lot of, you can see these little storms popping up, right? Kind of starting to look more like a summer or a late spring type pattern. And, at this point, it's almost May, so that would be appropriate. Though, again, winter storms, especially further north, would not be, unusual whatsoever. And you can see these little kind of just pretty much more stormy, right? Not as much of these big beasts, kind of flare-ups during the day, mesoscale clusters during the night, kind of that classic exciting summer pattern. It gets boring at the end of each pattern because, the big storms are always fun in the fall and winter, but in the spring they start getting boring, and then these little events start getting exciting. But nonetheless, I want to show you what the European thinks will fall in terms of precip, which probably has the best handle on this. Notice that where that snow falls, I mean, really heavy amounts of precip, right? 2 to 3 inches. Not all of that will be snow. A lot of that will be rain initially before it converts over. But notice that those storms that will occur tonight into tomorrow could be bringing up to 1 to 2, 3 inches of rain across Iowa, Illinois. This is good. You know, Iowa is in kind of a drought, the corn-producing state. They need that rain. Hopefully it's not too aggressive in areas where it just washes out the field, but a nice steady rain for a few hours would definitely be beneficial. And, yeah, the long range looks very wet for the plains. Complete opposite of last year, right? You're going into a very soggy spring compared to last year where it was super dry. Hopefully it kind of dries out for planting season, but that's still a little bit away, especially since you have a lot of snow going on for now. So, you know, you'll get that water. You'll take anything you can get for those areas. Notice South Dakota also getting it on some action, though a bit less. Still, though, definitely beneficial. Total snowfall, right? That's what everyone's kind of curious about. So just through next Tuesday, so this is purely from this system, you know, the European does show amounts that are into the 30s, which, again, is shown by most models, but if you're to take a look at the National Weather Service, they aren't as aggressive with this accumulation forecast. You know, I think this is the thing that these could easily outperform or underperform because of how heavy that snow is. So if it stays rain just for a few hours longer than they predicted, the precipitation and the snow totals get cut down significantly. If it stays as snow for a bit longer, you know, you could definitely see amounts 18 inches plus. And taking a look at some of these areas, you can see 10 to 16 inches, right, 2 to 4. So some of the areas are definitely expecting a lot of snow, and you can see right there, total snow accumulation 7 to 14, but again, localized areas higher. Let's see Williston right there into North Dakota, see what their forecast has. I'm kind of curious about this. Okay, so it doesn't really show snow amounts, does it? No, it doesn't. But let's see the blizzard warning and what it calls for. Probably that 8 to 14, yeah. I would say that based on the recent models, probably towards that 14-inch range will be more appropriate, which is quite a bit. And do note that right now we do have some pretty violent storms popping up. They're not tornadic, thankfully, but they do have a lot of rain and obviously other winds and potentially hail. So that is pretty much that. I do want to show you the severe weather threat. So again, today into tonight, it's these couple of areas that will be flaring out. Again, that will spread into heavy rain to Illinois and Indiana tomorrow. That's definitely possible. Friday, it's enhanced, where that cold front kind of juts out of those mountains, and that could definitely provide a bit of a tornado threat, but mainly a wind and hail concern. And then Saturday, there's a slight risk you can see for a good portion of the central United States. It's a large area, large cities, Oklahoma City, Kansas City, Tulsa, Minneapolis, Wichita, the largest cities in that section. And I want to go back and show you the triple R model. So this is a very, very good model that I like to use for short range forecasting, meaning really out to kind of 20 hours. So notice that into tonight we do have those storms developing across Nebraska, right into Iowa, Kansas, maybe northern Kansas. And as we get towards midnight, you can see it does develop more into heavy rain threat. Notice a little bit of snow across North Dakota as well, and continue to precip across California. And notice that by tomorrow around 7 o'clock in the morning, you know, morning commute Friday, you know, Des Moines, Iowa, you're getting hammered by possibly very heavy rain, probably some embedded thunderstorms, but mainly just heavy rain. And notice that this kind of glides. It initially has a more northern trajectory to it, but eventually it starts just sliding towards the east. And by 10 a.m., you know, it's raining across northern Illinois into Indiana, and this kind of continues. And this stops me at hour 17. And let me go to a model like RGEM, which probably has a decent handle on this. And notice that it shows that, right, and then eventually kind of just starts gliding off slowly towards the east, and we see that cold front developing, which is going to become the main area of concern. I want to go back to this model, maybe show you the previous 6 hour or previous run that went up to 48 hours, because it only does that every 48 hours. And notice that it also showed that trajectory of very heavy rain, moved in right there, and yeah, it could, you know, rain across Illinois all the way into 10, 11 o'clock. And let me just put this out to 48 hours and show you its predicted accumulated precip. So this is, again, a short-range model, but you can see the point is what I'm trying to show here is that there could be a good amount of precip across a small area, but, you know, those amounts could be 4 or 5 inches plus. And total snowfall in that time frame really is confined to more of the northwest because that's where it's snowing. But it will snow here. It's just that this only takes us through 1 p.m. Saturday. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I just wanted to give you an update on this. By the way, on Saturday, some of these areas, we'll be just seeing a ridiculous amount of, or a ridiculous temperature swing. So, right, my area, or let's say southern Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and errors processing, whatever. So it's not loading for some reason. But what I'm trying to say is that some of these areas will be in the 60s and 50s tomorrow, mainly even 40s across Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin here. And on Saturday, they could be in the 80s. And you can see they have it described, the roller coaster of warmth, right? 50s, 80s. So the 80s definitely gonna feel pretty nice. But also kind of spell a fire threat danger. Also, with this ongoing system across, as I said, landfalling across California right now, this obviously dropped a lot of precipitation. That that is pretty good. It's a very major storm, especially for this late in the season. There will be areas that receive several feet of snow, and obviously a lot of rain in the valleys. So for reservoirs like Lake Shasta, Lake Oroville, these are definitely good benefits and good things, but again, not really enough to quench that drought. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next episode. See ya.